What if you could rewire your brain to make success automatic? It sounds like a fantasy, but it's actually grounded in the science of habits. Every single day, from the moment you wake up to the time you go to sleep, your life is governed by habits. Some of them you notice, but most of them are so ingrained in your routine, they feel invisible. But here's the thing. These invisible habits are shaping your future. And if you can learn to control them, you can control the direction of your life. That's where Atomic Habits comes in. This is not just a book about self-improvement. It's about understanding how habits work on a biological level and using that knowledge to your advantage. You don't need more willpower. You don't need a better morning routine or a 10-step plan for success. You just need to understand how to build better habits. Habits that are so small, you won't even notice you're doing them. Success isn't about radical transformations. It's about micro changes that, when repeated consistently, compound into massive results. This is what makes Atomic Habits so powerful. They're tiny actions that deliver huge returns. In this audiobook, you'll learn how to design habits that stick. You'll uncover the science of habit loops, the power of environment design, and the strategies for making good habits easier and bad habits harder. No more struggling to force yourself to change. This is about making change automatic. Are you ready to tap into the hidden power of your daily habits and unlock the future you've always dreamed of? Chapter 1. Why tiny habits make a big difference. Imagine this. You're trying to change your life. You set a huge goal, something you have always wanted to accomplish, but after a few days or weeks, the motivation fizzles out. Sound familiar? That's because we often think that change requires massive effort. We believe that in order to get the results we want, we need to overhaul our lives completely. Here's the truth. It's not about giant leaps. It's about small, consistent steps. This is where the concept of Atomic Habits comes in. You don't need to make sweeping changes. You just need to get 1% better every day. Yes, you heard that right. 1%. While it may not sound like much, that tiny improvement compounds over time into something far greater. Think about a plane. If it alters its course by just a few degrees, it ends up in an entirely different location after flying a long distance. Now imagine that in your own life. Small changes, done daily, can take you to a completely new destination. One that's far better than where you started. But why do these small changes make such a big difference? Because habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. The effects of your habits multiply over time, just like how money grows through compound interest. Good habits make your life easier and more fulfilling, while bad habits can take you in the opposite direction, slowly but surely. The problem is, most people give up too early. We expect immediate results. We start a new habit, hit the gym for a few weeks, and then quit because we don't see the dramatic changes we imagined. But that's not how change works. It's like an iceberg. The real progress is happening beneath the surface, hidden from view, until one day it breaks through in a way you can't ignore. Here's the secret. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Let that sink in for a moment. Everyone has goals. Whether it's to lose weight, save more money, or write a book, goals are everywhere. But it's the systems, the daily habits and routines you put in place, that determine whether or not you achieve those goals. If you focus only on the end result, you'll never reach it. But if you focus on the process, on building tiny habits, you'll get there naturally. Let's break this down with a real example. Imagine you're trying to start a daily running routine. Instead of aiming to run 5 miles every day from the get-go, start small. Lace up your shoes. Go for a 10-minute jog. That's it. The goal is just to show up. Over time, that 10-minute jog becomes easier, and soon you'll find yourself running longer distances without even thinking about it. Why does this work? Because habits are like compounding interest. Each small action you take adds up over time. It's not about being perfect every day. It's about making tiny, consistent improvements. The more you repeat these habits, the more automatic they become, until one day, they're a part of who you are. Here's the kicker. Bad habits work the same way, only in reverse. Miss one workout, and it's easy to skip the next. Spend a little too much today, and suddenly, your financial goals slip further away. Every small decision counts, whether it's pushing you forward or holding you back. So, what's the first step? Start small. Don't overwhelm yourself with huge expectations. Focus on making tiny improvements every day, and watch those small wins build on each other. Because at the end of the day, tiny habits make a big difference. Chapter 2. The Habit Loop. Unlocking the Power of Consistency. Have you ever wondered why you automatically reach for your phone the moment you wake up? Or why you grab a snack every time you feel stressed? These behaviors aren't random, they're habits. But what if I told you that every single habit, whether good or bad, follows a simple, predictable process? That's right. It's called the habit loop. And if you understand it, you hold the key to unlocking any habit you want, or breaking the ones you don't. Picture this. Habits aren't formed by chance. They're driven by a loop that controls everything you do. It's the same process every time: a cue, a craving, a response, and a reward. Now, this might sound simple, but this loop is like the engine driving your behaviors, and once you can see it, you can control it. Let's break it down. The cue is the trigger, the spark that sets everything in motion. Maybe it's that ding from your phone, or the sight of a bag of chips in your pantry. It grabs your attention and initiates the habit loop, and if you understand it, you hold the key to unlocking any habit you want, or breaking the ones you don't. Picture this. Habits aren't formed by chance. They're driven by a loop that controls everything you do. It's the same process every time: a cue, a craving, a response, and a reward. Now, this might sound simple, but this loop is like the engine driving your behaviors, and once you can see it, you can control it. Let's break it down. The cue is the trigger, the spark that sets everything in motion. Maybe it's that ding from your phone, or the sight of a bag of chips in your pantry. It grabs your attention and initiates the habit loop. Next comes the craving. This is the desire that drives you to act. When your phone dings, you crave the satisfaction of checking that notification. When you see those chips, you crave the salty crunch. It's not the action itself that you want, it's the feeling or the outcome that follows. Then we hit the response. This is the actual habit, the action you take. You check your phone, you grab the chips. This is the behavior that plays out because your brain believes that it will lead to a reward. And finally, there's the reward. This is where your brain gets what it wants. That little hit of dopamine when you see a new message or the temporary satisfaction of a snack. Your brain loves rewards. And when it gets one, it remembers the loop that got you there. Over time, this loop becomes automatic. So, what does this mean for you? It means that if you want to change any habit, whether it's stopping procrastination or starting a daily workout routine, you need to hack into this loop. You need to control the cue, shift the craving, shape the response, and enjoy a better reward. For instance, if you want to start exercising more consistently, what's the cue you can introduce? Lay out your workout clothes the night before. The craving might be the satisfaction of feeling healthier and more energized. Your response? Simply getting to the gym. And don't forget the reward, the high you feel after a great workout. Once you've identified your habit loop, you can make it work for you. The truth is, once you master the habit loop, no habit is too hard to form, and no bad habit is too tough to break. It's all about understanding the process and using it to build the life you've always wanted. Chapter 3. Make it obvious. The power of cues. Ever wonder why some habits stick, while others fall apart after a few days? It's not about how much willpower you have. It's about making the cues for those habits obvious. If you can't see the trigger, you won't act on the habit. Simple as that. Let's face it, if you want to build a new habit, your environment needs to be working for you, not against you. If your workout clothes are stuffed in the back of your closet, guess what? You're not going to the gym. If you're trying to read more but your book is buried under a pile of papers, it's not happening. But if you make those cues impossible to ignore, things start to change. Picture this. You want to drink more water. What if you kept a water bottle on your desk, always in sight? You'd be more likely to reach for it, right? That's because you've made the habit visible and reduced the mental effort to do it. In the same way, setting out your running shoes the night before makes it easier to lace up in the morning. These small, deliberate changes create powerful cues. It's not about how disciplined you are. It's about designing your environment for success. Remember, if you want a habit to stick, you need to make its cues loud and clear. It's about bringing that desired action right to the surface of your awareness. This is why habits tied to obvious cues are the ones that last. Now think of the bad habits you want to quit. The principle is the same. Make the cues invisible. Want to cut down on junk food? Hide it. Put the TV remote somewhere hard to reach if you're trying to stop binge watching. When the trigger isn't obvious, the habit fades away. It's all about shifting your environment to match your goals. Don't wait for motivation. Make your habit so easy to start that you don't have a choice but to follow through. Chapter 4. Make it attractive. The role of cravings. When it comes to building new habits, one of the most powerful factors at play is attraction. Think about it. We're more likely to engage in behaviors that feel rewarding and enjoyable. This chapter dives into the art of making your habits not just appealing, but downright irresistible. Imagine for a moment that you're trying to establish a new habit, like exercising regularly. If you view the gym as a chore, your motivation will plummet faster than a lead balloon. But what if you flipped the script? What if you associated your workout with something you love? For instance, pairing exercise with your favorite podcast or listening to upbeat music can transform the experience from a dreaded task into something you genuinely look forward to. This concept is known as temptation bundling. It's simple, yet effective. You take something you enjoy and link it with a behavior you want to build. By doing this, you create a positive association that makes the habit more attractive. So, instead of dragging yourself to the gym, you're now excited because you know you'll get to enjoy that podcast you've been wanting to catch up on. But here's the kicker. You can use this strategy for any habit you want to cultivate. Want to read more? Combine it with a cozy cup of your favorite tea. Need to write more? Treat yourself to a sweet snack after every writing session. By linking the new habit to a reward, you're not just creating a routine, you're crafting an experience. Now, let's dive deeper into the psychology of attraction. The craving part of the habit loop, cue, craving, response, reward, is crucial. It's what drives you to take action. To make a habit attractive, you need to amplify your cravings. For example, visualize the end result you desire. If you want to lose weight, don't just focus on the number on the scale. Picture yourself in that outfit you've been eyeing, or imagine the boost of confidence you'll feel. Visualization is a powerful tool. When you can vividly imagine the benefits of your new habit, it creates a strong desire to pursue it. This desire fuels your motivation and makes it easier to take that first step. Another key to making habits attractive is to surround yourself with positive influences. Think about the people you spend time with. Are they encouraging your growth, or are they dragging you down? The people in your life can significantly impact your habits. By surrounding yourself with those who embody the behaviors you want to adopt, whether it's friends who prioritize fitness, colleagues who are focused on productivity, or family members who value reading, you'll find it easier to adopt those same habits. In fact, one of the most profound ways to make a habit attractive is to change your identity. Instead of thinking, "I want to run," shift your mindset to, "I am a runner." This subtle change in how you view yourself can be a game changer. When you start to identify with the habit, it becomes more attractive. You're not just doing an activity, you're embracing a new version of yourself. Let's not forget the role of social media in this equation. Use it to your advantage. Follow accounts that inspire you, share success stories, and showcase the benefits of the habits you want to adopt. The more you see others thriving in their pursuits, the more you'll crave that same success for yourself. Remember, the goal is to make your habits feel enjoyable. When you attach pleasure to a behavior, it's no longer a struggle, it becomes a source of joy. In summary, making your habits attractive is about amplifying cravings. linking positive experiences, and embracing an identity that reflects your goals. By doing so, you'll not only find it easier to stick to your new habits, but you'll also create a lifestyle that you genuinely enjoy. So, what's the next habit you want to tackle? Start with making it attractive and watch how the desire to engage with it blossoms. Because when you learn to make your habits irresistibly appealing, you'll find yourself not just changing your actions, but transforming your entire life. Chapter 5. Make it easy. Reduce friction. Let's be real for a second. How many times have you set a goal, only to find it way too hard to stick with after a week? Maybe you wanted to meditate for 30 minutes every day or hit the gym for an hour. It feels good in the beginning, right? But then life happens, motivation drops, and that grand plan starts to fade. Here's the secret. The problem isn't you, it's the friction. When the barrier to starting a habit is too high, it becomes easy to quit. So instead of making your habits difficult, let's flip the script. Make it so easy that it's hard to say no. The key here is the 2-minute rule. Want to meditate? Don't start with 30 minutes. Start with just 2 minutes. Want to read more? Aim for a single page. The idea is simple. Scale the habit down so much that it feels almost laughable. Think about it. You might not feel like running a full 5K, but putting on your running shoes? That's easy. The trick is getting started. Once you're in motion, it's a lot easier to keep going. And here's where the magic happens. It's not about how much you do on the first day. It's about showing up consistently. You don't have to be perfect every day. You just have to start. Even if it's just for 2 minutes, that small effort adds up. Over time, those tiny actions compound, and you find yourself running miles, meditating for longer, or reading entire books. Here's a story that shows how powerful this is. There's a guy who wanted to lose weight but felt overwhelmed by the idea of hitting the gym. So, he made a commitment to himself. He'd go to the gym every day. But here's the catch. He would only stay for 5 minutes. Sounds ridiculous, right? But after a few weeks, he built the habit of going to the gym, and eventually, 5 minutes turned into 10, then 30, and soon enough, he was working out consistently. The lesson? You don't need to start big. You just need to make it easy. Create an environment where good habits are effortless and bad habits are hard. Make the good choices so frictionless that you'll automatically gravitate toward them. It's like James Clear says in Atomic Habits. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. Every little bit you do, even if it's just a tiny 2-minute action, adds up. Over time, those small changes will deliver massive results. So, next time you're setting a new goal, ask yourself, how can I make this so easy that it's impossible not to do? That's how you'll reduce friction, build momentum, and finally make your habit stick. Chapter 6. Make it satisfying. Celebrate the wins. Let's dive into a powerful truth about habits. What feels good is what we tend to repeat. It's human nature. We're wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, which is why one of the most crucial aspects of habit formation is making those habits feel satisfying. Imagine if every time you completed a good habit, you experienced a rush of satisfaction. It wouldn't just motivate you to keep going. It would create a powerful feedback loop that makes success almost irresistible. So, how do you make your habits satisfying? One effective way is through immediate rewards. Think about it. Why do we indulge in dessert after a long day? Because the sugar rush feels good in the moment, providing instant gratification. While we want to focus on healthy habits, we can borrow from this idea. The key is to build a reward system that gives you a small win right after you complete your habit. One of the simplest yet most effective methods to make habits satisfying is to track your progress. Keeping a record of your habits provides immediate feedback and serves as a visual representation of your journey. Think of it as your personal scoreboard. Each time you mark a box, cross off a day, or log a minute, you get a little boost of satisfaction. You're not just counting, you're celebrating each victory, however small it may seem. Here's a personal challenge. Create a habit tracker, whether it's a physical journal, a wall calendar, or a habit tracking app. Every time you complete your habit, make a note of it. you'll be amazed at how motivating it can be to see your progress accumulate. This simple act can turn your daily routine into a game where you're the player striving for a high score. But don't stop at tracking. Celebrate your wins. Each time you complete a habit, take a moment to acknowledge your success. Maybe it's a simple fist pump in the air, a small treat, or even just a mental note of how proud you are. By celebrating, you're reinforcing the connection between your efforts and positive feelings, which makes it more likely that you'll repeat the behavior. Let's say you're trying to develop a habit of exercising regularly. After each workout, treat yourself to something small but enjoyable. Maybe a favorite smoothie or some time to binge watch your favorite show. Over time, your brain will begin to associate working out with those pleasurable experiences, making it easier to stay committed. Another powerful way to increase satisfaction and accountability is by creating a habit contract. This is where you involve someone else, making a commitment to share your progress with a friend, family member, or even a community group. Knowing that someone else is cheering you on and holding you accountable can add an extra layer of motivation. For example, if your goal is to read more books, find a buddy who wants to do the same. Set up a weekly check-in where you share what you've read. Not only does this add a social element, but the satisfaction of sharing your achievements can deepen your commitment to the habit. Remember the 2-minute rule we discussed earlier? It's all about making your habit so easy that you can't say no. But there's also a satisfying aspect to this rule. When you simplify a habit down to just 2 minutes, you create a quick win that feels good. For instance, if you want to develop a habit of meditating, start with just 2 minutes a day. Completing that small commitment feels good, and over time, you can gradually increase the duration. When you set the bar low, you're more likely to engage with the habit, and every time you succeed, you experience that satisfying sense of accomplishment. Lastly, leverage visual cues in your environment to enhance satisfaction. Place reminders around your living space that reflect your goals and achievements. For instance, if you're aiming to drink more water, keep a beautifully designed water bottle on your desk. Each time you take a sip, you're reminded of your commitment to staying hydrated. Visual cues serve as constant reminders of your goals, making the process feel more rewarding. The satisfaction comes not just from completing the habit, but from seeing physical evidence of your commitment. Chapter 7. Break bad habits. Reverse the formula. Breaking bad habits can often feel like an uphill battle, but it doesn't have to be. The key lies in understanding how habits work and using that knowledge to your advantage. Just as building good habits involves making them obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, breaking bad habits requires you to reverse that formula. To eliminate a bad habit, you must make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. Let's start with making it invisible. This means removing cues that trigger the bad habit from your environment. For instance, if you find yourself mindlessly snacking while watching TV, consider keeping junk food out of the house entirely. Instead, fill your pantry with healthy snacks that require preparation. If you're trying to cut back on social media usage, uninstall those apps from your phone or log out so that accessing them becomes a hassle. By reducing exposure to cues associated with your bad habits, you minimize the likelihood of falling into those old patterns. Remember, out of sight often leads to out of mind. Next, we focus on making the bad habit unattractive. This involves changing your perspective on the habit so that it no longer seems appealing. For example, if you're trying to quit smoking, remind yourself of the negative effects it has on your health, your finances, and even your relationships. Visualize how much better your life could be without that habit. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to make better choices and support your journey to self-improvement. The more you can associate the bad habit with negative consequences, the easier it will be to steer clear of it. Now, let's discuss the third point: making the bad habit difficult. Increase the friction associated with the habit so that it requires more effort to engage in it. If you're trying to stop binge-watching TV shows, unplug the television after each episode. Set up barriers that make it harder for you to indulge in the habit. If you want to limit your screen time, consider setting specific hours for device usage and stick to them. The more hurdles you introduce, the less likely you'll be to give in to temptation. Finally, the last aspect is making the bad habit unsatisfying. This involves linking negative consequences to the habit, so that the instant gratification you may have once enjoyed is overshadowed by a feeling of dissatisfaction. You could, for instance, create an accountability system with a friend where you both track your habits. If you fail to stick to your commitment, you might owe them a small penalty, such as donating to a cause you don't support. This extra layer of accountability can make you think twice before giving in to the habit. Breaking bad habits isn't easy, but with the right strategies, it can be done. It requires consistent effort and a willingness to change your environment and mindset. Remember, it's not about achieving perfection overnight, but about making gradual progress. As you implement these strategies, you'll find that your resistance to bad habits will grow stronger over time. In the end, breaking a bad habit is a journey, not a destination. By making your bad habits invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying, you're not just fighting against something. You're actively building a healthier, more positive lifestyle. Each small victory adds up, and before you know it, the bad habits will become a thing of the past, replaced by new, healthier routines that align with the person you aspire to be. So take a deep breath, focus on the small changes, and embrace the journey toward becoming the best version of yourself. The power is in your hands. Start today. Conclusion. Imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, each wave representing a small habit waiting to crash into your life. These waves may seem insignificant alone, but together, they create a powerful tide capable of reshaping your destiny. That's the magic of tiny changes. As you reflect on the insights from this audiobook, remember that transformation isn't reserved for the extraordinary. It's built through the consistent, tiny decisions you make every single day. Maybe you'll choose to drink a glass of water instead of soda, read a few pages of a book instead of scrolling on your phone, or take a short walk after dinner. These small choices might feel mundane now, but over time, they will accumulate, leading to profound change. You have the power to design your life by intentionally crafting habits that align with your goals and values. The journey won't always be easy. There will be setbacks and days when you feel like giving up. But that's where your commitment to improvement shines brightest. So, take a moment to think about your habits. Which ones serve you and which ones hold you back? Embrace the challenge of making tiny adjustments and celebrate your progress along the way. As you step into the future, remember, every journey begins with a single step. Make that step today. Harness the power of atomic habits and watch as you create a life filled with purpose, fulfillment, and achievement. Your masterpiece is waiting, one tiny habit at a time.